Hi everyone, and welcome to 164 Diecast. In our fourth video, we are looking at the 100% Hot Wheels 40th anniversary two-car collector set called Car Show. In 2008, Mattel created 20 different cars as part of the 100% Hot Wheels collector line to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Hot Wheels. Mattel produced 9 two-car sets for the celebration, and of these, a subset of 4 related themes were created, of which the Car Show was one. The other 3 sets were Truck Show, Drive-In, and Gilmore Special. The 2 cars in the Car Show set are a gold 1966 Pontiac GTO and a black 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle. The Mattel product number for this set is M3697, and it was released in 2008. The set can be found for sale between $20 and $100. This was the last year for the 100% Hot Wheels line, as Mattel changed the collector car line to the oil can series going forward. Per Fandom, the Hot Wheels information wiki, all of the toolings for these cars were destroyed after the final casting. Along with eBay, current pricing can be estimated using the website WorthPoint at www.worthpedia.com/HW-RLC-40-100-car-show-66-Pontiac-1011-94461. First produced in 1964 by General Motors as a front-engine, rear-wheel drive performance car, the Pontiac GTO was available in both coupe and sedan models, with the coupe being the preferred body style among muscle car enthusiasts. Developed as a result of GM management banning all divisions from being involved with any type of auto racing in the early parts of 1963. This ban was a follow-on to the automotive industry's ban on all manufacturers being involved in organized racing in 1957. Pontiac's managers decided to focus on street performance instead. Per the Wikipedia website, the GTO disregarded GM's policy limiting the A-body intermediate line to a maximum engine displacement of 330 cubic inches, which is 5.4 liters. The development team discovered a loophole in the policy that did not restrict the offering of large engines as an option. Pontiac General Manager Elliot Pete Estes approved the new model, with sales manager Frank Bridge limiting initial production to 5,000 cars. Wikipedia also tells us the name GTO was inspired by the Ferrari 250 GTO. The moniker is an Italian abbreviation for Gran Turismo Omologato, which translates to Grand Tour Homologated. This designates a car as being certified by the FIA for racing in the Grand Tour class as a production car with at least 100 units made. The GTO was an offshoot of the Pontiac Tempest, just as Lee Iacocca's Ford Mustang was to be an offshoot of the Ford Falcon. Along with the Mustang and the Chevrolet Camaro, which shared lineage with the GTO, the age of the muscle car was born. The GTO was, and still is, one of the most beautiful car designs ever created. But so was the Chevrolet Chevelle, which was introduced in 1964 alongside the GTO nameplate. In the early 60s, Chevrolet Chevy 2, an offshoot of the Nova, and the Corvair were losing market share to Ford's Falcon. In 1962, Ford introduced the Fairlane, which was designed to be a mid-size family car. It took a while, but Chevrolet finally responded with the 1964 Chevy Chevelle Malibu. It was not originally designed to be a muscle car, but could be purchased with the Supersport or SS version, which could be ordered with a small block 327 engine. In 1966, the Malibu Chevelle could be optioned with a 396. Chevelles could be purchased as a sedan, coupe, or a convertible. In addition, the El Camino, based on the Chevelle body, could be had for those wanting a Malibu with a truck bed. You can read more about the 40th anniversary car show set at hotwheels.fandom.com/wiki/100% 25 Hot Wheels 40th anniversary pound car show 2-car set. These cars bring back memories for me, as my dad had a 66 GTO when I was a kid and would often let me drive by holding the steering wheel as we cruised the streets of Southern California. In high school, a friend also had a 65 Malibu Super Sport that he tore down and rebuilt, transforming it into a street racer. Many a night were spent in these cars on cruise night along Valley Boulevard in Alhambra, California, as we did our best to stay away from the local police, who were quite keen to try and catch us as Mustangs raced Chevelles and GTOs for bragging rights on the streets and the next day in class at school. It was a great time to be a kid. So, I hope you enjoyed our short look back at muscle car history. And, as always, thank you for stopping by 164 Diecast. And we will see you on the next video.